welcome back to Mondays with Madison. I am honored to have Mark Sanchez with us this week, former NFL quarterback and USC quarterback, current Fox Sports analyst, and we're just going to talk about everything under the sun, football, sports, his family, and everything in between. So make sure y'all stay tuned. So, Mark, we are both Orange County kids from Southern California. You started your high school career at Santa Margarita. I did too, and we both transferred away. You transferred to Mission High School and started your career under Bob Johnson, who is known as the quarterback guru, coaching guys like Jordan Palmer, and was really the original coach of the Elite 11. So when you look back on your early days of football, how do you think that prepared you for later in your career?
Oh, it's a great question, and such a good lead in because Bob was such a pivotal part of my development, not just as a quarterback, but as, a young man and a person. He was like a second dad to me. And I remember going to his camps. It was funny. My dad, I'm actually in his old camp quarterback VHS tape. There's a couple floating around on the internet. I think they're like $20.
That is awesome. I'm going to buy one.
We did these drills. Over on the side field at Mission Viejo before the facilities got redone, right next to the freeway. And we're throwing through tires, we're throwing at flags, we're doing all this footwork stuff. And, I was like anywhere from 13, 14 years old, something like that. And I remember when my dad first took me to him, my dad always, we played catch before practices and stuff like Little League, baseball, basketball, football. I was playing everything. Mm-hmm. And I never played quarterback, probably till like seventh or eighth grade. But all through that, I would throw with my dad and we'd practice, but I would play other positions. I'd play defense and running back and whatever. And so my dad finally took me to Bob Johnson, just like, hey, I think he's good, but maybe I'm just blinded because he's my kid.
Right.
I need somebody who knows what they're talking about, to give me like a vote of confidence. Should I even invest in this? Like, should we even go down this road of potentially, trying to work at being a quarterback? Mm-hmm. And I remember after like 2 drills doing 3-step drops and just quick footwork stuff and quick release stuff for the ball. And my dad, it's not that he didn't give me compliments, but he would just kind of keep them, minimal. Let's just say that.
Didn't want to hype you up too.
Keep it humble. Yeah, exactly. Make sure my hat size didn't grow too quick. And Bob just kind of shot him a look and he goes, whoa. So my dad's like, well, what do you think? He goes, yeah, I'd say you want to invest in this,
Yes.
And so that was the first time somebody ever affirmed that, like I could maybe
be a future.
Play this out. Yeah. Like it was something promising. And I remember that like empowerment that I got from that vote of confidence from somebody who I knew was well respected in that field, and working at those Elite 11 camps in high school, he'd get I don't think I had a lunch the entire time I was at Mission Viejo High School. Like I never had a lunch break. We were always in film or working out on the field. And so we would just eat our food fast and go do something with Bob. We were always with Bob. Well, a lot of those guys would come in, the Elite 11 quarterbacks in college, and they'd come through. The counselors and stuff, guys who were working out, Carson Palmer, Jordan, all those guys. So we'd get to go catch for them all the time. I mean, my hands were just torn up. And I'm a quarterback, so I was like, God, I want to do some of the drills. Like, what do you think if I get in some of the drills? And so every once in a while, Bob would let me go like at the end of a drill or towards the end of a workout. And you'd only get like 1 or 2 throws,
Got to make them perfect at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, trying to throw it as hard as I can and as best as I can because all those guys were there. But that taught me what it looked like moving forward, that position of quarterback, how these guys carried themselves. I got to see so many different players come through, Dave Ragone, Kellen Clemens, Carson Palmer, like a ton of guys.
Yeah.
And just how they carried themselves, how they studied, how they worked out, how they threw mechanically. And it was such a huge addition for me and this ability to kind of look into the future a little bit and kind of mold out, carve out exactly what I wanted out of that position, out of the sport. And so I'm forever indebted to Bob. It was those are some of my favorite days. Actually, Mission plays in the playoffs, I think Friday against St. John Bosco. So I'm gonna try and check that out.
Wow.
But it's always fun to get back there. Those were some fun Friday nights.
Of course. And I bet seeing all of those guys come through your high school like really was influential in your experience.
Oh, huge.
And speaking of your coaches, you played for some incredible coaches in your career, like Rex Ryan, Chip Kelly, and Pete Carroll, among others. Is there one coach in particular, other than Bob, since we already talked about him, that influenced you the most and kind of helped establish who you wanted to be as a quarterback?
Well, I think because of the timing of it, I think Coach Carroll has this pivotal role. All the coaches were huge for me to shape some part of my game or my life. I thought Pete was at a unique time in my life because you're in college and about to go to the NFL, and he really taught me what it meant to compete. And his whole thing was this constant pursuit of a competitive edge. Nothing cheap and not crossing any, lines or doing anything illegal, but like you're going to go till the very brink and the other person's going to break first, and like they're going to screw it up first because you're going to do it right so many times over and over and over. And that's just who you become. And you are, just a master of details. You never get bored studying. You never get bored taking, easy completions and, the dog days of training camp when everybody's tired, like that's where you come alive. Like he gave us so many little nuggets on a daily basis because of his experience in coaching and playing and all that. He had some incredible stories for us. I remember he told us a story about Rick Barry, who was like, legendary shooter. And Pete went to go listen to him. Pete was at the University of Pacific and went to go listen to him give a speech. And Rick Barry was like, a lot of people publicly he wasn't the warmest guy. He wasn't like warm and fuzzy guy. He was just like, a stone cold killer, just dropping threes and like an amazing shooter. Well, he held himself to this high standard, held other people to a high standard. So a lot of people, took that the wrong way. But Pete just loved this guy. And he said, I just got to know, he grabbed him after the speech. And he just said, what do you do when you go out and you miss your first 10 shots? Like, how do you come back from that? I want to know, like, mentally, what is it you do to get back in your flow? And in a total Rick Barry way, he just said, like, well, shit, if I miss 10 in a row, I mean, I'm a 50 whatever percent shooter. So that means the next 20 you're going in or whatever, he just said, like, look out because something good's coming around the corner, like you're dead. If I miss my first 10, it's going down.
Be ready.
Soon, because the numbers even out. I know my ability. I'm so confident. And so Pete would share little stories like that that he experienced along the way in his life. And they really helped shape us as a team, me as a person, me as a quarterback. And he's a special motivator. Same thing with Rex from a defensive perspective, Chip Kelly, an offensive perspective, and so innovative with the RPO game and some of these. I think if anything, the tempo stuff, the RPO game, where the quarterback's, running the read option and able to throw the ball immediately. And you're kind of making these decisions simultaneously, instead of reading just defensive linemen on the first level of the field, reading linebackers on the second level of the field and throwing passes like right behind him and all these plays becoming an extension of the run game. I mean, that was like revolutionary stuff. And he did it at New Hampshire and kind of changed the game. Every offense in the league has some part of it now. So I think it was a little early, right? A little too early for everybody else, but every team has kind of carved out that little niche of one, tempo, and two, this whole RPO game. And he was one of the guys who really started that. So to be around somebody who kind of was the, maybe not founder, but one of the, revolutionaries that way. Yeah. That's really cool to be a part of and hear how he talks about it. And then more importantly, to see how he sees it and watch tape with him and stuff. And he was excellent motivator, so positive. All those guys, all three, Rex as well. That's the kind of guy, Rex, the kind of guy you just, I don't care what we're doing. You want him on your team. If we're getting in a bar fight, you want Rex on your team. You don't want to have to fight him. If we're playing, ping pong, table tennis, it doesn't matter. You just want that guy on your
Want
team.
him
And
on
that's
your
kind of
team.
the theme. Yeah, that's kind of the theme with all three of those coaches. They were very special to me and really helped shape who I am.
Totally. It seems like in the developmental stages too, like the mindset piece of all three coaches, and that kind of is an overarching theme,
Oh, yeah,
being dedicated, being focused, and really like the mental side of the game, which is incredible.
absolutely.
So at USC, you had a great career and stepped up when opportunity presented itself. In your final year, you won the Rose Bowl and then went on to the NFL draft where you were drafted 5th overall by the Jets. You had a lot of success in your early years in the NFL, like leading your team to a conference championship in your rookie year and the year after, which not a lot of quarterbacks do. So what was that transition like, leaving college a year early and jumping into your NFL journey? But then how were you able to enjoy that early success early on?
Other than maybe sophomore year, junior year, summer of high school,
Mhm.
where it's basketball, go throw a couple innings in like summer baseball and football practice, and then go to
Yes.
the beach for a couple hours. And like, I feel like I was in the best shape of my life, carefree high school, having fun, running around with your buddies. And that was like one of my favorite sports periods of my life, I think.
Right.
But that 3-year run, really 4-year run of my second to last year at USC, my last year at USC, and then those first 2 years in the NFL was an incredible block of time where you took it almost to the highest levels you could possibly go, right? Like we're knocking on the door of the Super Bowl twice. And,
Absolutely.
you think about those games and one, how cold it was in Pittsburgh. I was talking about that the other day. This weekend, we were in Chicago and it was like 38 degrees, which is nothing. But in
Brings back some
Pittsburgh, it was like
memories.
12 degrees or something. I
Yeah.
had a half millimeter wetsuit top under my jersey and stuff
No
because I was so
way.
cold. Yeah, I was
The
freezing. I had
California kid in
wetsuit.
you is not
I
used to
know, I
it.
know. That was tough. That was a tough transition. But those years of experiencing those big games, those big sports moments, that's what you dream about as a kid. That's
Right.
everything I ever wanted to compete in and accomplish. And it was so important to share that with my family, running around after the divisional game with my nephew, who's like, 6 or so, maybe 4 or 5 years old, at Indianapolis. They had beat us the year before, so this is my second year, and we
Mhm.
go to the divisional and beat them. Excuse me, the wild card. We beat them in the wild card my second year after they beat us in the championship game the year before. And something happened with the bus or the flight or something. So we were just kind of stuck at the stadium for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I just remember rolling the ball on the ground and my nephew kind of picking it up. And we had just won this massive game and people are clearing out the stands and picking up trash. And it's me and my brothers and my dad. We have an awesome picture of it. And it's just little moments like that, in the tunnel, post game, celebrating these massive wins, jumping in the stands with my mom and my agent after the divisional game against the Patriots. Like those kind of memories are just kind of frozen in your brain forever. And I'm so grateful for those opportunities. The Rose Bowl with my whole family there, and we just ended up blowing the doors off of Penn State and had it so much fun. I mean, I can't remember smiling more after a game and just kind of sitting in the locker and like soaking it all in. And
Just like, did that just happen type of moment?
yeah, it's you really got to pinch yourself, and I'm so fortunate for the opportunities. And then when those opportunities show up and you play your best, that's all you can do, whether you win it or
Right.
not. I felt like we played pretty well in all those scenarios, and
Yeah.
sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But great memories either way.
Yeah, truly a dream come true in both scenarios. You got to finish out your college career on the highest note, and then your first 2 years of the NFL were like close to
Oh, we're so close, so close.
close to the best they could be. So other players that I've talked to, professional players, have mentioned that there's a shift between college football and NFL football, where college is more fun and like you said, the Rose Bowl game, you're just smiling the whole time and you're just there for the love of the game. where NFL is more of a job that's in the hands of a lot of coaches and front offices and stuff. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff, right, that comes with the NFL, the business side of it. Not just like contracts, but trades and people getting cut and all that. And I think college is shifting more towards that with the NIL stuff and
Mhm.
this
Totally.
transfer portal and everything. I mean, it's really shaken up college football, and it's almost like high school is like the purest form of football now, or
Honestly.
really sports, amateur sports, right? Because some of these guys are getting paid, guys and gals getting paid, and undeservedly so. I never even thought it never crossed my mind when I was playing. I just hey,
Yeah.
I'm getting free food and a place to stay and a small check, like whatever. So I guess I just didn't really have
The thought of
the
it. Hmm.
yeah, like I just it just never got there in my head. But late
Yeah.
bloomer, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, I think the two biggest differences are, one, the conversations, and two, the attention to detail and speed, right? So for the conversations, like in college, you know how this goes. Like, who are you going to formal with, and what test do you have on this day? Which are you going to add this class, drop this class? Like, those are conversations that are happening in the locker room. And did you see Susie? Oh, she looks cute. Are you guys still dating? Stuff like that. Like,
Of
you're
course.
talking
Hmm.
about kid stuff. Like young adult stuff.
Hmm.
And then you transition into the NFL, and most of the team was married. A lot of them have kids, guys, wives dealing with cancer or going through a divorce or fighting a custody battle, and you just hear these different conversations. And
Real world.
it's like, oh, my daughter's in fourth grade and she's taking me to show and tell, and I was just like, whoa, like crazy. This guy's got kids, and like and just a couple months ago, I'm in the locker room, hanging out with the guys, talking about, yeah, where are we going to go tonight? Where are we going to hang out? Where are we going to watch the game? Like, we got no other cares in the world, just work out and play ball.
Right.
So it was, it's a total shift. Then, because there's no school, right? You're in school most of the day. You get like, call it 2 to 3 hours working out on the field, and then another hour and a half or two in the classroom or whatever. So it's not nearly as much as being there from, I mean, on the low end, 9 to 5 in an NFL building or
Right.
facility, 6, 7 days a week, and only doing football. It's your only class is football, and that's all
Right.
you study. And you just constantly work out and
Hmm.
prep your body and stretch and lift and run, and everything's geared towards this one thing. Obviously, the competition just skyrockets, and it makes it everybody's already the best from where they're from. Like the baddest dude out there, they ran through high school teams, college teams. They got all the letters on their jacket and all the cool things, and they ran track, and they were the fastest and the biggest and the strongest and all that. And then they get to just work on football all day long. Like, those dudes
Talk
can really
about
play. So
raising the
yeah,
level.
it totally went up a whole new level. And you could really tell the guys who cared about it a lot, the guys who really put in the work and studied. I mean, it would show
Yeah.
on Sundays, and it
Mhm.
was
Really took
it
advantage.
was it was really fun, like watching other players, and the Troy Polamalu's and Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs, and like some of these defenses, Ed Reed, that you play against, and you're just like, damn, dude, these guys are going to be tough. Like,
Really.
all right, that's going to be a really tough game on Sunday. Let's just figure out how to win on Monday. Like, okay, what do we have to do on first and second down? You start to compartmentalize and all that. So um, it's a whole different idea. But the conversations and then the level of competition just totally, totally changed.
Yeah, football becomes your school.
No doubt, no doubt.
And then we kind of talked about the NIL and kind of how college
Yeah.
football and NFL, it's always changing. So are there any trends that like really excite you? And then are there some that kind of worry you where it's like, I don't know about that one.
Well, I think it's just kind of been this whole NIL deal. It totally makes sense. I understand, because the schools are making so much money on, these bowl games and all that. And so naturally you think, well, the people that are out there, busting their hump to make that happen, like you gotta give them something.
Mhm.
And so I think it's just transitioned into, in some ways, the rich get richer. Like, the big schools have the deep pockets to attract these players.
Yep.
And now what you're seeing is these players are like, they need like guarantees of hundreds of thousands of dollars or more to say like, yeah, I'm going to go there. And they ain't played it down yet. You know, it's like, I don't know. I mean, he was
the most interesting part to me is like NIL deals are already set up before these kids even step foot on campus. Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, yeah, he was Billy Badass at Joe Schmo High School, but who knows? Like,
anything,
you know, that it's wild. But, you know, I think fortunately at a great school like SC, like we're going to have the resources, right? Like, I feel like they're positioned so well. The entertainment capital of the world. You got LA, you got Fox Sports right there. Like you have everything you want if you ever wanted to transition into TV or on screen or anything else like that. You just have so many resources. And, you know, we're so well positioned geographically with the weather and the beach. And like, I can't think of a better spot. I think this whole transition to the Big Ten is going to be interesting. You know, that's going to be some serious football. And I think SC and UCLA went about it the right way, you know, jumping on that. I think they'll eventually be just two massive conferences with the SEC and the Big Ten. And it's almost like the NFL with the NFC and the AFC. I think, you know, the Big 12's kind of dwindling because Texas and Oklahoma are taking off. And then you'll get the ACC that's going to, you know, split up and see what happens with Notre Dame if they stay independent or join one of these super conferences. But it's going to be interesting. And to travel, the amount of travel is going to be different. And then the games, the weather. Like, I never played a game colder than like 55 degrees or 53 degrees in college. And now, you know, they're going to be playing at Nebraska, Iowa, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. Like, that's a different deal. If you're not used to it, it's you better get used to it fast because it's a different brand of football. And that's it's a tough division. They run the ball hard. They're big corn-fed Midwest boys, and they play hard. So it's, that's going to be interesting. I'm curious to see how we stack up, and if we keep all our recruits in California, I mean, we're immediately competitive with anybody. And then you start to steal a couple kids. You know, you got to steal a couple kids from Texas, Louisiana, Florida, maybe New Jersey, and that's how, you know, Pete Carroll really built that roster and stuff over time. Is you got to lock down California, keep all our talent here, and then you know, try and steal some kids. But it's interesting, the whole NIL, the new leagues and divisions, the way it's positioning itself. It'll be fun to watch.
It's definitely going to be an interesting space to navigate. I think Lincoln Riley will do a good job of keeping those California kids in California.
Oh yeah, he's kicking butt.
So now that all of the important questions are out of the way, I have to ask you about the butt fumble. I have to.
Oh dear.
So I remember a time when I was playing goalkeeper and I just totally kicked the ball into the back of my defender and it pulled right into the goal. Same type of. So how many times do you get asked about that on a monthly basis? And do we laugh about it now? Is it something that we've learned?
I mean, of course, it's just such a. I mean, it was just such a bonehead play, and I feel like they. It was an interesting time. Okay, you have to understand that one day it'll be an amazing 30 for 30. Like, what if I told you? And boom. But it's like hashtags were just starting to become popular. Right. Yeah, right. The hashtags were just starting to become popular on Twitter. Twitter was really like taking off. It's on Thanksgiving. It's Jets, Patriots. So you get like the whole Eastern Seaboard potentially watching this game. Plus everybody else is home, right? And we're the night game on Thanksgiving. So what else is everybody doing? They're finishing up their turkey. They're having their last glass of wine. They're watching ball.
They're watching the game.
That's what everybody's doing together. Yeah. So I think because of all those things, right? If I would have done that and I played for the Jacksonville Jaguars and it was even if it was a Monday Night Football game, it just wouldn't have been
as big of a deal.
As big, right? It would have never blown up like that. And so once it happened, it's actually really funny. I think it went for like over a year on the top 10 or not top 10 plays or whatever on SportsCenter for over 52 weeks.
A year.
Held the number one spot. Okay. Wow. So I guess that's something to be proud of.
That's a record.
No, but what was funny is the guy who kept doing those was Kevin Nagandi. He was the anchor who kept on doing it. And so anytime I'd see it, I was just kind of like, oh, what an asshole. And I just like, I kind of hated the guy, just for no reason, just because it was like always on there. Not hate, hate's a strong word, but I was always just like, oh, whatever, that guy sucks.
Like, come on.
Well, for no reason at all. And I'd never met him, whatever. So I had no basis for feeling like that. I was just being a little wimp. But come to find out, my career's done. I'm getting an opportunity at ESPN and ABC, and they said, you're going to be partnered with Kevin Negandhi and Jonathan Vilma. And I was like,
you're like, no
way. And I didn't say anything because it's my first job. They're bringing me in, and I'm a, conflict avoider. I'm not like I'm not trying to stir stuff up. So it's like this elephant in the room, because I know he knows, yes. And he knows that I know, like
definitely knows that
we never talked about it. We never talked about it for a while. And then we became so close, and he became like my big brother in television, was one of my like most trusted friends now. I love Kevin Negandhi. His family, his wife, Monica, his kids are incredible. I stopped staying at the Sports Center hotel or the ESPN hotel that they gave us in Bristol. And I would stay in his basement. So Saturday mornings, I fly in on Friday. Saturday mornings, we could play like knee football in the basement with his kids who are just psycho Philadelphia Eagles fans. All they wanted to talk about was like, you got to play with Brent Selleck and Zach Ertz and so on, like Shady McCoy. Like, what was that like? Jeremy Maclin and all these guys. And they're like my favorite family in the entire world. And I remember one night we stay up after our broadcast real late. We're watching games. And I was like, dude, I actually like hated you. And we're a couple drinks in at this point. I was like, bro, I was so mad at you. I thought if I ever saw you in the street, I would just like judo chop you to the throat. Like, you suck, and like spit on you or something, just because I was so angry about that for so long. And I was like, dude, I never in a million years thought we would end up having this kind of relationship. And he goes, really? Bro, I've been thinking about that forever since we met. I feel so bad.
He totally knew you knew.
Oh my God. It was so funny. And so, but I was like, now that I understand a little bit of TV, like he doesn't pick what goes in the queue. Like he has a say, but like people are voting on this stuff. Producers have their, that's going to get headlines. It's like this low hanging fruit, but they kept going for it, whatever. So he's just reading the stuff off the prompter and doing his job. So obviously he didn't have any input on like, running the clip over and over, but suffice to say he's one of my best friends and I absolutely love him. I mean, he was like one of the first people on our wedding invite list. Like I just
amazing.
I love Kev. So crazy play and a bummer play, but it ended up coming. Yes. It ended up, something pretty funny happened with it, and I'm grateful, I guess.
Yeah, truly, some good definitely came out of the butt fumble for sure. So now we will jump into the person behind the athlete section, where we will kind of veer off and talk about things other than football. So following your football career, like you said, you started covering football as a broadcaster with ESPN. And now you're at Fox Sports being an analyst and all of that. But the football community is quite small. Like you have former coaches and teammates now working as broadcasters as well, or coaches or just different offices in the NFL. So how does that familiarity help you with being an analyst and like this transition into this new career?
Well, it absolutely helps. I think the relationships you build, just like, any profession, any line of work, it's the relationships and being able to go to, the team doctors and trainers and former coaches and assistants, and now people who are, the low man on the totem pole kind of thing, and are now in coordinator, head coach positions. And we were either teammates or, I was good to those guys and got them a Christmas gift or whatever, just for saying thank you for working your butt off and running all those copies and making all those playbooks for us. And whatever. And now those guys are in like coordinator positions, and I go broadcast one of their games. I mean, they want to talk for half hour, 45 minutes, and it's awesome because you get great information. It helps you frame the game and your perspective when you're calling a football game. So I maintained those relationships, and I think that's really been a huge help. And what's interesting is like almost that whole team from the Jets is like employed on TV, like whether it's Bart Scott or Damian Woody, Mike Tannenbaum, Rex Ryan. I mean, there's guys everywhere. Nick Mangold's doing a bunch of media stuff. It's Braylon Edwards has his own show in Detroit. Like it's really cool to watch. And I've maintained a good relationship with a ton of those guys, and it's good to see them doing well. But I think that team was a really special group. I think Hard Knocks really helped that group and gave us a ton of visibility that people really like hung on to. And it felt like we were a good group of guys that people would kind of want to hang out with and want to throw on TV and hear their perspective. So it really benefited us in the long run being on such a big stage like that. But the transition's been very fun. It's definitely a lot of work, but I really enjoy it. And I think you can hear it when I'm broadcasting games, but I'm genuinely excited. And I'm like, holding out all hope for each quarterback. Like, I'm in some ways, I apologize, an apologist for the quarterbacks at times because it's such a tough position. And I know what these guys are going through. And you just want it to work because you know how much time they spent that week to make it work, so it's like, if every game could end in a tie, it'd be awesome. Both quarterbacks throw for 5 touchdowns and 500 yards. And like, I don't know. It's really fun to watch. And I'm really enjoying this next chapter in my life.
Still on camera, just in a different way.
Exactly.
You have also jumped into business endeavors and have started a mezcal company, Mezcal Campante. So what sparked?
I did.
There it is, right there.
There's our bottle right here. You can get it at mezcalcampante.com. So basically, one of my good friends, he worked for the Yankees for a long time. He was in like their like legend seats and suite sales and all that kind of stuff. His name's Yvonne, and he sent me this bottle. A few years ago, probably in 2019-ish. And I'm more of a tequila guy personally. Didn't really like mezcal. I thought it was too smoky. It felt like I was drinking, water from like an ashtray or something. And it was just like, I didn't like it. Well, this one he sent was amazing. And once I tried it, it sat on my bar for like 6 months because I just was anti, I said no. He came out here. Actually, the Yankees were playing the Angels. He physically shows up at my house, opens the bottle and pours it for me because he knew I wouldn't do it. And I fell in love with it. But then he's like, if you're interested in partnering with us, let's talk. And I'm like, well, I got to go see what's going on here. Like, I want to see the whole deal. Not, I just want to see the numbers too, but I want to go see like where you do this. And they do it down in Oaxaca and way south of Mexico City, almost Guatemala, basically. And it is incredible. The whole operation, totally first class. Met some great people down there. And the owner and founder, Jose Luis, he's one of my good buddies now. And I fell in love with the people involved in it. And any kind of business endeavor, that's really, in my opinion, what you invest in. It's not just the numbers. The numbers have to look good, but great numbers with crappy people don't work. Like, you invest in the other humans involved. And I was just blown away with their passion for it, the culture, the heritage, the history behind it. And it really helped me get in touch with, my Mexican heritage. And I love that. Got to speak a ton of Spanish down there and learned how this whole process works. And I'm excited to share it with other people. We've had excellent reviews. We've won a couple awards, and it's really taken off. It's gone pretty well. We have some talks with some bigger distribution companies. So fingers crossed it works out well. Sure. But I think either way, it's been an awesome project that I've got to learn a ton about not just the spirits industry, but specifically mezcal and how it's made. And I've really enjoyed it.
That's so interesting. What a cool endeavor. I'll definitely have to get my hands on that at some point.
Come on. We got some for you.
So you also have a son who just started kindergarten, and
oh my God,
just the cutest thing I've ever seen. So tell us about him and your experience as a dad. Go on and brag about him a little bit.
He's a trip. I'm so blessed to have him. He's so funny, and he really is a sweet boy. He's playing ball. He played baseball. He played flag football. We just had all of his buddies over for like an end of the year party for his flag football team, and we were down running around in the water and the sand and playing flag football down there and jumping in the pool and stuff. And so he's he's really doing well. He loves school, which is awesome.
That is amazing.
His preschool teacher, Senora Lopez, he's actually in like a Spanish immersion class.
Oh, awesome.
And so he gets a ton of Spanish. I mean, he's kicking butt. He's going to speak better than me in probably 2 years. Like,
That
it's
is
really cool to
uh-huh.
see how much they progress and how their little brain is just picking everything up.
Yeah.
But he's a sharp little dude, and just keep challenging him and keep pushing him to grow and experience new things, and experience different sports. He loves drumming. He's actually a pretty
No
good drummer.
way.
So he takes drum classes and stuff a couple times a week. But he's all into soccer now too. He wants to play a little soccer, so I got to
Hey,
get him running around.
I'll help with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. We need to put him through some workouts, see if he can handle it. But he's so fun, and we love chasing him around.
That's awesome. And then last question is, your dad seems to have had a great influence on who you were as a player.
Oh yeah.
Like you said, talked about it where he would take you to camps, play ball, all that stuff, and also just as a man and as a father. So how has he influenced you in your life?
Well, he's a real stud. I very fortunate to have somebody who's one that present and cares that much, and really try to just set a good example for us. And a lot of my leadership qualities came from him and watching him around his fire crew. He was a fire captain for like 30 years and always had 3-4 other guys with him. And he was the captain of their shift, and everything kind of ran through him. And to see how he developed these relationships with his technically, subordinates and coworkers and all that, but
Right.
he challenged them in the right way. He encouraged them in the right way. He got on them in the right way and criticized them in the right way. But bottom line was, he showed me like this blueprint. You got to build a bridge to every single person that you're in contact with, especially if you have some sort of shared struggle, whether it's trying to win a football game or save somebody's life and put out a fire. You got to build up that trust. And he did that on vacations over the summer with the crew. We always celebrated Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter. We were at the fire station at least once or twice a year, for 2 of those major holidays kind of thing. And that became like our second family, where all those other fire families. And still remain close with a lot of those people today, go to their kids' weddings and stuff. And like, just to see the transition of everybody now retiring and how close they remained. And it was interesting too, because he would never bring work home, and he would never like tell us anything. I think the only thing he ever told us about was a young kid who wrapped their car around like a telephone pole.
Yeah.
Because they were texting and driving. And so that was like the one thing. As soon as I got my license, he's like, please,
just do not, please.
Excuse me, please do not do that. I saw that and I just couldn't live with that if we had to experience that with you or your brothers or anything. But everybody else would tell me the stories. Everybody else, hey, did your dad tell you about last Thursday? And I was like, no, what did he do? Oh man, you should have seen this thing. This structure fire was ripping, man. And he was in there, first one in there on the roof, pulling stuff open, pulling cats out, pulling kids out. I was like, whoa. I was like, Dad, what? And he just kind of looks like,
Dad, I want to know this.
Part of the gig, and I was just blown away with how much passion they would tell those stories with, and how proud they were of him, and then how much he like downplayed it. Like it was, just
humility.
That's my job. It was really cool to watch, and he pushed us hard, a little unorthodox. It wasn't like over the top, but it was definitely different than other kids. We were there early, stayed late. The old staying at the park with the car headlights, keeping the lights on at the park, and trying to throw and do footwork drills and tackling drills and all that kind of stuff. So it was a grind, but he always channeled it in the right way, and we're very fortunate, both of my brothers and I, to have somebody like that. And I'm just glad he's around for DJ, my son, and to be at practice with him and take him to school and stuff. He loves being a grandpa.
I bet he gets a lot of those flashbacks seeing your son now.
Oh, totally.
All
But
that.
he's just like he's still tough, but not nearly the way
His
he was.
parents are always more chill.
Unbelievable. I don't remember ever having candy, number one. And he's like all fired up for trick or treating candy. He's like, DJ, what'd you get? Let's share some candy. I was like, candy? You hate it? You never let me have candy.
You're like, wait,
So it was just,
where's the shift?
he totally flipped the script on me. But
He's gone to softy for him, for sure.
I know.
Well, thank you, Mark, so much for joining me on Mondays with Madison. It was incredible to have you. Please like this video, everybody, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel for new interviews. Mark, again, thank you so much. Hope to have you back sometime, and we'll definitely get that soccer going with DJ and your
I love it.
for sure.
Let's catch up when you get home.
For sure. Well, with that being said, I'll see you later, sports fans.